Wednesday, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. I'm going to be continuing on with Carl Rogers on becoming a person and continuing on for how can I be of help. And I'm going to be reading section 9 to the end of this chapter, which is on page 57. So here we go. A specific aspect of the preceding question, but an important one is, can I free him from the threat of external evaluation? In almost every phase of our lives, at home, at school, at work, we find ourselves under the rewards and punishments of external judgments. That's good, that's naughty, that's worth an A, that's a failure, that's good counseling, that's poor counseling. Such judgments are a part of our lives from infancy to old age. I believe they have a certain social usefulness to institutions and organizations such as schools and professions. Like everyone else, I find myself all too often making such evaluations. But in my experience, they do not make for personal growth, and hence I do not believe that they are a part of a helping relationship. Curiously enough, a positive evaluation is as threatening in the long run as a negative one, since to inform someone that he is good implies that you also have the right to tell him he is bad. So I've come to feel that the more I can keep a relationship free of judgment and evaluation, the more this will permit the other person to reach the point where he recognizes that the locus of evaluation, the center of responsibility, lies within himself. The meaning and value of his experience is in the last analysis the meaning and value of his experience is in the last analysis, something which is up to him, and no amount of external judgment can alter this. So I should like to work toward a relationship in which I am not, even in my own feelings, evaluating him. This, I believe, can set him free to be a self-responsible person. Section 10. One last question. Can I meet this other individual as a person who is in the process of becoming, or will I be bound by his past and by my past? If, in my encounter with him, I am dealing with him as an immature child, an ignorant student, a neurotic personality, or a psychopath, each of these concepts of mine limits what he can be in the relationship. Martin Buber, the existentialist philosopher of the University of Jerusalem, has a phrase, confirming the other, which has had meaning for me. He says, confirming means accepting the whole potentiality of the other. I can recognize in him, know in him, the person he has been, created to become. I can confirm in him myself, and then in him in relation to this potentiality that can now be developed and can evolve. If I accept the other person as something fixed, already diagnosed and classified, already shaped by his past, then I'm doing my part to confirm this limited hypothesis. If I accept him as a process of becoming, then I am doing what I can to confirm or make real his potentialities. It is at this point that I see Verplanik, Kingsley, and Skinner working in operant conditioning, coming together with Buber, the philosopher or mystic. At least they come together in principle in an odd way. If I see a relationship as only an opportunity to reinforce certain types of words or opinions in the other, then I tend to confirm him as an object, a basically mechanical, manipulative object. Manipulable object. And if I see this as his potentiality, he tends to act in ways which support this hypothesis. If, on the other hand, I see a relationship as an opportunity to reinforce all that he is, the person that he is with his existent potentialities, then he tends to act in ways which supports this hypothesis. I have then, to use Buber's term, confirmed him as a living person, capable of creative development. Personally, I prefer this second type of hypothesis. Conclusion. In the early portion of this paper, I reviewed some of the contributions which research is making to our knowledge about relationships. Endeavoring to keep that knowledge in mind, I then took up the kind of questions which arise from an inner and subjective point of view as I enter, as a person, into relationships. If I could in myself answer all the questions I have raised in the affirmative, then I believe that any relationship in which I was involved would be a helping relationship and would involve growth. But I cannot give a positive answer to most of these questions. I can only work in the direction of the positive answer. This has raised in my mind the strong suspicion that the optimal helping relationship is the kind of relationship created by a person who is psychologically mature. Or to put it in another way, the degree to which I can enter a relationships which facilitate the growth of others as separate persons is a measure of the growth I have achieved in myself. In some respects, this is just a disturbing thought, but it is also a promising or challenging one. It would indicate that if I am interested in creating helping relationships, I have a fascinating lifetime job ahead of me, stretching and developing my potentialities in the direction of growth. I am left with the uncomfortable thought that what I have been working out for myself in this paper may have little relationship to your interests or your work. If so, I regret it. But I am at least partially comforted by the fact that all of us who are in the working field of human relationships and trying to understand the basic orderliness of the field are engaged in the most crucial enterprise in today's world. If we are thoughtfully trying to understand our tasks as administrators, teachers, educators, counselors, vocational counselors, therapists, then we are working on the problem which will determine the future of this planet. For it is not upon the physical sciences that the future will depend. It is upon us who are trying to understand and deal with the interactions between human beings, who are trying to create helping relationships. So I hope that the questions I ask of myself will be of some use to you in gaining understanding and perspective as you endeavor in your way to facilitate growth in your relationships. End of reading and end of chapter. And the next time we meet, we will continue on chapter 4, what we know about psychotherapy, objectively and subjectively, on page 59. So happy Wednesday, everyone, and I look forward to the next time we meet.